discriminate, discriminate, discrimination, discrimination, mirage, mirage, monument, monument,
monumental, monumental,
patriot, patriot, patriotism, patriotism, patriotic, patriotic, calamity, calamity, apprehend, apprehend, apprehension, apprehension, apprehensive, apprehensive, commonplace, commonplace, vein, vein, artery, artery, stir, stir, estimation, estimation,
estimate, estimate, harsh, harsh,
initial, initial,
initiate, initiate,
routine, routine, solitude, solitude, solitary, solitary, collapse, collapse, radiation, radiation,
radiate, radiate, solar, solar, protest, protest,
throne, throne,
approximate, approximate,
approximately, approximately, striking, striking, strikingly, strikingly, compromise, compromise, drench, drench, intensive, intensive, intense, intense, intensely, intensely, intensify, intensify, intensity, intensity,
intimate, intimate,
intimately, intimately, intimacy, intimacy,
insult, insult,
insolent, insolent, insolence, insolence, investigate, investigate, investigation, investigation, inevitable, inevitable, infection, infection, infectious, infectious, infect, infect, insane, insane, sane, sane, intricate, intricate, expand, expand, expansion, expansion,
discriminate unjustly, discriminate unjustly, discriminate against somebody, discriminate against somebody, discriminate gems from pebbles, discriminate gems from pebbles, abolish discrimination, abolish discrimination, positive discrimination, positive discrimination, eliminate discrimination, eliminate discrimination, sexual discrimination, sexual discrimination, racial discrimination, racial discrimination, social discrimination, social discrimination, discrimination against the elderly, discrimination against the elderly, discrimination in favor of the young, discrimination in favor of the young, find discriminations, find discriminations, chase a mirage, chase a mirage appears, a mirage appears, see a mirage, see a mirage, ancient monuments, ancient monuments, natural monuments, natural monuments, a national monument, a national monument, erect a monument, erect a monument of learning, a monument of learning, a monument of research, a monument of research, a monumental work, a monumental work, a monumental victory, a monumental victory, a monumental tree, a monumental tree, a monumental mason, a monumental mason, a monumental inscription, a monumental inscription, a book of monumental significance, a book of monumental significance, a monumental task, a monumental task, a glowing patriot, a glowing patriot, a ardent patriot, a ardent patriot, a sincere patriot, a sincere patriot, a staunch patriot, a staunch patriot, inspire patriotism, inspire patriotism, instill patriotism, instill patriotism, appeal to somebody's patriotism, appeal to somebody's patriotism, display patriotism, display patriotism, patriotic song, patriotic song, a patriotic spirit, a patriotic spirit, a patriotic sentiment, a patriotic sentiment, man-made calamity, man-made calamity, the calamity of war, the calamity of war, a dire calamity, a dire calamity, a grave calamity, a grave calamity, survive a calamity, survive a calamity, bring calamity upon oneself, bring calamity upon oneself, apprehend a criminal, apprehend a criminal, apprehend a thing imperfectly, apprehend a thing imperfectly, be nimble to apprehend, be nimble to apprehend, under no apprehension, under no apprehension, the apprehension of a felon, the apprehension of a felon,
A man of feeble apprehension. A man of feeble apprehension. Beyond all apprehension. Beyond all apprehension. Be quick of apprehension. Be quick of apprehension. Be dull of apprehension. Be dull of apprehension. In my apprehension. In my apprehension. Be apprehensive of coming evils. Be apprehensive of coming evils. A tender and apprehensive heart. A tender and apprehensive heart. An apprehensive mind. An apprehensive mind. Apprehensive power. Apprehensive power. A commonplace event. A commonplace event. A commonplace person. A commonplace person. A commonplace remark. A commonplace remark. A commonplace affair. A commonplace affair. A mere commonplace. A mere commonplace. State a commonplace. State a commonplace. Make a commonplace. Make a commonplace. Portal vein. Portal vein. Thread vein. Thread vein. A vein of coal. A vein of coal. A vein of gold. A vein of gold. In the giving vein. In the giving vein. Say in a humorous vein. Say in a humorous vein. A poetic vein. A poetic vein. A vein of humor. A vein of humor. The main artery. The main artery. An artery of trade. An artery of trade. A major artery. A major artery. A traffic artery. A traffic artery. Stir up sedition. Stir up sedition. Stir up person's blood. Stir up person's blood. Stir up curiosity. Stir up curiosity. Stir one's imagination. Stir one's imagination. Give the fire a stir. Give the fire a stir. Make a great stir. Make a great stir. In my estimation. In my estimation. Win a person's estimation. Win a person's estimation. Fall in public estimation. Fall in public estimation. Make a fair estimation. Make a fair estimation. By estimation. By estimation. A ballpark estimate. A ballpark estimate. A rough estimate. A rough estimate. A written estimate. A written estimate. Estimate by looking. Estimate by looking. Estimate the damages. Estimate the damages. A blown up estimate. A blown up estimate. A harsh master. A harsh master. A harsh judgment. A harsh judgment. A harsh climate. A harsh climate. Harsh reality. Harsh reality. Harsh detergent. Harsh detergent. A harsh land. A harsh land. A harsh contrast. A harsh contrast. A harsh voice. A harsh voice. A harsh surface. A harsh surface. A harsh cloth. A harsh cloth. A harsh texture. A harsh texture. The initial difficulties. The initial difficulties. The initial expenditure. The initial expenditure. Initial symptoms. Initial symptoms. The initial move. The initial move. An initial capital. An initial capital. An initial letter. An initial letter. An initial signature. An initial signature. Initial a document. Initial a document. Initial an agreement. Initial an agreement. Initiate a reform. Initiate a reform. Initiate a plan. Initiate a plan. Initiate new methods. Initiate new methods. Be initiated into a plot. Be initiated into a plot. Initiate a campaign. Initiate a campaign. Initiate military operations. Initiate military operations. Initiate an attack. Initiate an attack.
A routine job. A routine job. An unvarying routine. An unvarying routine. A dance routine. A dance routine. Routine enquiries. Routine enquiries. Daily routine. Daily routine. Break the routine. Break the routine. Break from routine. Break from routine. Die in solitude. Die in solitude. Live in solitude. Live in solitude. Utter solitude. Utter solitude. A solitary farm. A solitary farm. A solitary man. A solitary man. A lonely man. A lonely man. A solitary walk. A solitary walk. A solitary passenger. A solitary passenger. A solitary cell. A solitary cell. A solitary house. A solitary house. A solitary instance. A solitary instance. A solitary exception. A solitary exception. A solitary life. A solitary life. Feel solitary. Feel solitary. Collapse from anemia. Collapse from anemia. Collapse from hunger. Collapse from hunger. Collapse dead tired. Collapse dead tired. Collapse a chair. Collapse a chair. A state of mental collapse. A state of mental collapse. Gamma radiation. Gamma radiation. Radiation sickness. Radiation sickness. Ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet radiation. Direct radiation. Direct radiation. Solar radiation. Solar radiation. Terrestrial radiation. Terrestrial radiation. Radiation fallout. Radiation fallout. Receive radiation treatment. Receive radiation treatment. Be exposed to radiation. Be exposed to radiation. Radiate youthfulness. Radiate youthfulness. Radiate heat. Radiate heat. Radiate confidence. Radiate confidence. Radiate from a center. Radiate from a center. Radiate love around. Radiate love around. A radiate circuit. A radiate circuit. Radiate structure. Radiate structure. Solar radiation. Solar radiation. The solar cycle. The solar cycle. Solar power. Solar power. Solar heating. Solar heating.
A solar car. A solar car. Solar spots. Solar spots. Solar powered heating. Solar powered heating. A solar powered calculator. A solar powered calculator. A solar calendar. A solar calendar. A protest march. A protest march. A protest of innocence. A protest of innocence. Protest a decision. Protest a decision. Make a protest. Make a protest. File a protest. File a protest. To ascend the throne. To ascend the throne. Lose the throne. Lose the throne. Seize the throne. Seize the throne. Come to the throne. Come to the throne. Mount the throne. Mount the throne. Throne room. Throne room. An approximate number. An approximate number. The approximate cost. The approximate cost. The approximate distance. The approximate distance. An approximate idea. An approximate idea. Approximate a solution. Approximate a solution. A gas that approximates air. A gas that approximates air. Beauty that approximates perfection. Beauty that approximates perfection. Approximate two surfaces. Approximate two surfaces. Correspond approximately. Correspond approximately. At approximately the same latitude. At approximately the same latitude. A striking feature. A striking feature. A striking instance. a striking instance, a striking example, a striking example, a striking resemblance, a striking resemblance, a striking likeness, a striking likeness, a striking clock, a striking clock, produce a striking effect, produce a striking effect, striking power, striking power, striking contrast, striking contrast, strikingly beautiful, strikingly beautiful, strikingly similar, strikingly similar, compromise, compromise, find compromise, find compromise, no compromise, no compromise.
Compromise with reality. Compromise with reality. A face-saving compromise. A face-saving compromise. Make a compromise. Make a compromise. A compromise of principle. A compromise of principle. Compromise a dispute. Compromise a dispute. Compromise oneself. Compromise oneself. Compromise on these terms. Compromise on these terms. Compromise with injustice. Compromise with injustice. Compromise with the reality. Compromise with the reality. Seek a political compromise. Seek a political compromise. Drench thoroughly. Drench thoroughly. Flowers drenched with dew. Flowers drenched with dew. A drench of rain. A drench of rain. Labor intensive. Labor intensive. Intensive care. Intensive care. An intensive language course. An intensive language course. Intensive bombardment. Intensive bombardment. Intensive inquiry. Intensive inquiry. An intensive fire from machine guns. An intensive fire from machine guns. Intensive agriculture. Intensive agriculture. Intensive farming. Intensive farming. Intensive cultivation. Intensive cultivation. Intensive fishery. Intensive fishery. The intensive pronoun. The intensive pronoun. An intensive prefix. An intensive prefix. Intensive development. Intensive development. An intense look. An intense look. Intense red. Intense red. Intense heat. Intense heat. Intense pain. Intense pain. Intense anxiety. Intense anxiety. Intense happiness. Intense happiness. An intense desire. An intense desire. Intense love. Intense love. Intense study. Intense study. An intense person. An intense person. An intense face. An intense face. Intense heat. Intense heat. Intense cold. Intense cold. An intense gale. An intense gale. Live intensely. Live intensely. Live fiercely. Live fiercely.
Loathe intensely, loathe intensely, hate intensely, hate intensely, intensify the confusion, intensify the confusion, intensify one's mistrust, intensify one's mistrust, intensify heat, intensify heat, intensify the ideological conflict, intensify the ideological conflict, intensify campaign, intensify campaign, grow in intensity, grow in intensity, intensity of light, intensity of light, intensity of color, intensity of color, intensity of feeling, intensity of feeling, intensity of illumination, intensity of illumination, luminous intensity, luminous intensity, intensity of pressure, intensity of pressure, study with intensity, study with intensity, gather intensity, gather intensity, intimate friends, intimate friends, an intimate restaurant, an intimate restaurant, become intimate, become intimate, become familiar, intimate apparel, intimate apparel, intimate secrets, intimate secrets, become intimately acquainted, become intimately acquainted, connect intimately, connect intimately, be intimately associated, be intimately associated, immoral intimacy, immoral intimacy, break off the intimacy, break off the intimacy, be on terms of intimacy, be on terms of intimacy, a calculated insult, a calculated insult, resent an insult, resent an insult, retort an insult, retort an insult, add insult to injury, add insult to injury, put up with an insult, put up with an insult, insult somebody's character, insult somebody's character, a personal insult, a personal insult, an insolent reply, an insolent reply, an insolent fellow, an insolent fellow, an insolent child, an insolent child, insolent in their manner, insolent in their manner, an insolent accusation, an insolent accusation, gross insolence, gross insolence,
Display insolence. Display insolence. Show insolence. Show insolence. Internally investigate. Internally investigate. Investigate the origin. Investigate the origin. Investigate by questioning. Investigate by questioning. Investigate a case. Investigate a case. Investigate truth. Investigate truth. Investigate an affair. Investigate an affair. A criminal investigation. A criminal investigation. Open investigation. Open investigation. Make a close investigation. Make a close investigation. Conduct a tax investigation. Conduct a tax investigation. A committee of investigation. A committee of investigation. Inevitable accident. Inevitable accident. An inevitable consequence. An inevitable consequence. An inevitable conclusion. An inevitable conclusion. The inevitable hour. The inevitable hour. Accept the inevitable. Accept the inevitable. Face the inevitable death. Face the inevitable death. Cross-infection. Cross-infection. Get an infection. Get an infection. To be exposed to infection. To be exposed to infection. To spread an infection. To spread an infection. An acute infection. An acute infection. Infectious laughter. Infectious laughter. An infectious hospital. An infectious hospital. An infectious disease. An infectious disease. Be infected with the plague. Be infected with the plague. The infected area. The infected area. The infected zone. The infected zone. Water infected with cholera. Water infected with cholera. Infect the air with poison gas. Infect the air with poison gas. Spread by infection. Spread by infection. A hospital for the insane. A hospital for the insane. An insane asylum. An insane asylum. An insane hospital. An insane hospital. An insane scheme. An insane scheme. An insane proposal. An insane proposal. An insane plan. An insane plan. Sane judgment. Sane judgment. A sane idea. A sane idea. A rigid idea. A rigid idea. A sane policy. A sane policy. Intricate patterns. Intricate patterns. An intricate plot. An intricate plot. An intricate knot. An intricate knot. An intricate problem. An intricate problem. Expand the wings. Expand the wings. Expand the sails. Expand the sails. Expand productivity. Expand productivity. Expansion of gases. Expansion of gases. The rate of expansion. The rate of expansion. The expansion of armaments. The expansion of armaments.
a policy of expansion, a policy of expansion, territorial expansion, territorial expansion, expansion project, expansion project.